Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Hey guys, welcome back to this episode of Dogging It. I'm really excited for this one, guys. I even got my hair cut for it. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Joey, why is it every time we go live you get blurry? Well, you got better there, but you were blurry again.
Yeah,
We're
Well,
fine, and then
it's a little blurry,
It's blurry?
a little bit.
All right,
a little
I'll be
bit.
right
Not that
back.
that looks bad.
Melina, take it
Yeah.
over. I'll be right back.
Off to a
Send in the
blazing
big
start.
guns.
See, you know, he was getting ready to talk about how excited that music makes him when it starts every show. And
Look, I'm just
You know how he
surprised
went
he's here,
with the-
Mike. I'm just surprised he's here. I didn't give him a reminder. All of a sudden, Mike's like, send links, send this and that. Joey, are you bringing yourself in? If not, I'll bring you in. There he is.
Am I
There
better?
he is.
Am I better?
Looking
I don't-
much better.
I don't know why that happens. It's so
You going to
weird. We got to
Fetter's?
figure out a plan for that.
You going to Fetter's Barber now or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm
Looking
hoping
sharp,
it'll make
man.
me play a ball better. I don't know. Well, guys, I'm really excited for this one. When Melina was telling me that you were working on this Bonozo, I was like, hey, this would be great to have this guy on. Obviously, incredible young talent. What a performance over the weekend. Came up a
Yeah.
little short, but, you know, just a great match. I'm excited. Do you want to bring him in, Melina, or you want to banter a little?
No. You've already you've already laid down
Okay.
the groundwork, man. Your world famous introductions here. Let's bring on he's are you with us, Moritz? Can you hear us?
Hello. My connection is a bit bad. I hope you can get me. I don't know what happened to the Wi-Fi again, but
No, you're good.
We're good.
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
Yeah,
You got the best
Nice to be
background
here.
out of any guest that we've ever had, by the way. It looks beautiful back there.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing here. So yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're
I'm
in
happy
New
to be
York.
here. Yes, I'm in New York. I'm staying with two pool players, Pius Labudas and Frank Candela, at John Francisco's house. So yeah, we are all rooming.
And you've stayed there a number of times, correct? When you've come to the States?
Yeah. Right. A couple times, and yeah, we are very good friends now. So
Good.
it's always good to stay here.
Yeah. I'm sure that makes a trip like this, you know, it's a long trip for you. So I'm sure it makes a trip like this a little more comfortable, not being in a hotel every night, things like that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And we have a lot of fun. So it's like I save some money. That's a good point too.
That's always good.
And we have a lot of fun. So it's it's a very good opportunity for me to stay here. And
Yeah.
I'm very glad he
Offered his
allows
house
me
there.
to stay with him.
So
Nice.
Moritz, after this weekend, we were talking about you guys talking about you on one of the shows that we did, and we were asking how old you were, and there was a debate. Some people were saying 19, 20, about to be 20. How old are you?
19, and I'll turn 20 in November.
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 Well, he didn't say 19 and a half, so we can tell you're getting a little older. Once you
Right.
stop using the half years, then you know you've grown up a little bit.
So you're 19.
Yeah.
You won the World Juniors under 17, right? And then you won the World Juniors under 19, correct?
Yes, correct.
So 2 World Junior titles, which is, you know, that shows how you've progressed along the way, right?
Yeah, kind of. And then there was 1 year that I couldn't play just because of COVID. So I would have had one more World Championships. Yeah, at the juniors, but I couldn't play because of COVID. So
Yeah.
but I'm still glad I won. You know, I don't want to complain.
No,
You have to be
that's-
lucky to win any tournament. So winning 2 out of 2 is I don't want to complain at any
Yeah.
point.
Good.
So Moritz, obviously, we're going to talk about this weekend, but before we do, how did you even get started playing pool? What age? And take us through that whole progression.
So I think I was 8 or about to turn 9. I think I was 8. And I always watched snooker in German TV. And then one day my mom came up to me and asked me if I wanted to try to play myself because I was a big fan. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then we went to the next pool hall. I played some. And I guess I never quit.
How long did you play snooker before you switched to pool, and what made you switch to pool?
I started to play both at the same time. So I started to play pool and snooker when I was 8. and then I had to choose when I think I was like maybe 10 or 11, because I was getting too busy. I was traveling twice a week to play snooker, then twice a week to play pool, and then all the weekends were busy. So my mom was like, I have to decide if I want to play pool or snooker because it's getting just too much, and I chose pool.
Why?
Yeah, I guess I just like pool better. I don't know why, but I don't know. I had to choose, then I chose one. I think
Coin flip.
Come on.
it was,
Hey,
yeah.
come on. Go ahead. Piss off the whole snooker community
Yeah.
and tell everybody why you chose pool. Why was pool a better game?
No, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like at that point in time I wanted to play pool, and yeah, but I still love snooker. I still play snooker sometimes, and I think I would have liked to play snooker on a good level too, but it's just tough to play pool and snooker at the same time. So yeah,
How often do you got to check in with mom while you're on the road in another country? Now that you're going to be gone for a couple of months.
at least once a week, but we text almost every day, and then
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like she does know where I am. She does know what I'm doing,
Hopefully,
and
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Give
Yes.
me the story where you got in trouble and she had to chew you out while you were on the road.
Oh, that happened a bunch of times. I mean, even 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 now, sometimes I get calls from Germany, and then I have to send my mom the number, uh, and she calls them just because I can't call them, or I don't want to call them because each minute is like, I don't know, €5.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend like, I don't know, $60 or euros or whatever just because someone called me. So that's like a basic story, and I don't know, a bunch of times she had to send some cue that I sold because I was traveling, and I don't know, she has to go to my apartment and check in on something because I'm busy. So yeah, she does a lot for me, even though I'm on the road. Yeah, she's still
All right. Tell her
in my
thank
back
you and that
corner.
you love her. It's important. You got to give a shout
Yeah,
out to
thank you,
mom.
mom. I
Yeah.
love you. I love
Yeah.
you, mom. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. It's important. All right. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk some pool, man. First of all, how long are you here in the States?
So I've been here for, oh, I don't know, like 2.5 weeks now, and I'm gonna stay until after the US Open, October 2nd. Then I'm going to Vietnam, playing the Paris Open and the Asian Open, and then I'm going back home.
Let me ask you one of the obvious. What was the decision to play the Asian in Vietnam versus going and playing in Qatar?
I didn't have a spot in Qatar, so I
Okay,
didn't have to choose.
perfect, perfect. Okay, and
Yeah,
then while you're here, you're in New York, so obviously you're not playing in the Pro Billiard Series, but I'd imagine you're going to be playing in Jason's event coming up.
yeah. I chose to play Jason's event because it's matchroom points, first of all, and second of all, it's just easier for travel. So
Yeah.
More
I don't.
convenient.
Being
Now it's like,
in New York.
yeah, exactly. It's like 90 minutes by car now, and I think Michigan would be 12 hours by car. We did that last year. I don't want to do it again. And
That's where I
flying
met you
there
at.
is like,
Yeah,
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 exactly, yeah.
yeah.
And I
Are
didn't
you?
really, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And I don't know. I'd rather see some new pool halls than go into Michigan because there was nothing much to do except of play pool. And I don't know. I played enough pool the past week, so I'd rather go to a new pool hall and meet some new people than spending time somewhere where I don't want to be.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say, hey guys, we're here with Moritz Neuhausen. Hit up the chat. If you guys have questions, we can see the chat, and do us a favor, hit the share, the like, get it out there to more people. This is a great young player here, and we're excited to get to know him a little better. So Moritz, this weekend at the Rax event, you cruised through the winner's bracket of that event and, won the hot seat. Take us through the early stages of that event, kind of what was going on and your comfort level and why you think you were successful.
So I think I was quite comfortable on the tables, first of all, because the week before they had a tournament. I think it was a 10-ball tournament, so I was able to get some practice on the tables. So that was a good thing too. And then it was a 4-day tournament, so the first 2 days or even 3 days. No, I think the first 2 days I only had to play 2 matches. Then the third day I only had to play one match. So the schedule was quite easy for me. It's not I didn't have to play like 6 matches in a row or something, so I got my rest. And I don't even know how I won against Fedor, for example, because I don't know, I got lucky once that he scratched on the break. But I guess I just played good, and my opponents, to be fair, I know that Kazakis didn't play the way he usually plays. He missed, I think, twice or something, which was like unexpected. Like, of course, I took it, but I don't know. I think I got a little lucky maybe that my opponents didn't really play their level. Maybe the same goes for Fedor. He made a couple of mistakes that I didn't expect. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm just interested in hearing what how the tournament went for him. I mean, that was a big win to beat Federer on the hill. That's a good notch. And you've played enough. You've played a lot of these players and often enough to where you're comfortable. But is it still meaningful for you to beat some of these guys later in an event? Is it a stepping stone for you? Just give you more confidence the more often you get deeper into tournaments?
Of course it is. I think the first tournament where I ever beat like a bunch of good players in a row was in Scotland, the Scottish Open before the UK Open. And that was the first time I realized, okay, now I can beat players that are probably still better than me, like 2 or 3 in a row. So that's like a milestone, and this tournament proved it again. So it definitely helps me to realize where I stand now, that I can beat a bunch of players in a row. Usually it was I beat maybe 1 or even 2 in a tournament, but then I lost to some better player. But this time
Yeah.
I feel like I should have even won the tournament, and I just dogged it twice. That's why.
Well, that's a whole other
it
conversation we're
hurts.
gonna have.
Yeah. But it definitely helps to realize where I stand, what do I have to work on, and it definitely gives a confidence boost. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How do you use that to kind of fuel your training and your hitting that next gear to kind of get over that hump?
I kind of just try to analyze the matches, and I think in all of the matches, or even the week before, I can see a pattern. I always, I go into a lead, at least in the
Yeah.
most matches. I lead like 10-4 or 8-1, and then all of a sudden something changes, and I know why and I know what, but that's something I have to work on, and that's something I can take home and improve.
So obviously the final, it was a missed opportunity there. You had a big lead. Do you feel like, looking back on it, do you feel like you kind of maybe had that feeling like, hey, I got this. I'm in control here, and kind of let your guard down a little bit and let him back into the match?
Um, I, I don't. I'm not sure if I really thought about it. I was like, I know I can win this. That's for sure, because I did play pretty well until 10-4. But I think I just ran out of energy. I didn't eat too much the whole day, and that's my mistake. It's not an excuse. I should have eaten more. Then I tried to. I think the score was like 10-7 or something. I tried to compensate my loss of energy with a Coke, which kind of helped, but it's not the same. And then it's maybe like I got frustrated at some point because I missed like 5, 6, 7 times even before I missed the 8 or 9, and then it's like tough to come back. And I still got lucky that I made the kick on the 8 to play for the 9, but I wasn't able to pull it off. But at least I told myself, and I told everybody that asked me how I feel about the loss, this time I just missed. I can work with that. It's okay. Everybody misses, and I just missed. And I'd rather take this kind of loss than losing in an unlucky way, because I feel like the past couple months, the way I lost the matches, it was rather unlucky than just playing bad. But this time I just played worse, and it's fine. I can take that. I can work with it, and I think I will grow with that loss. And I think it's a good thing that it happened. I'd rather happen it this weekend than at the US Open, for example.
Take us through the moments. I'm always curious of this because I'm an amateur, but I play pool as well, And I know what I do after I lose an opportunity like that. So I'm curious what happened once you got back to your room or once you were by yourself. Did you beat yourself up a little bit? Did you throw your cues against the wall? What'd you do?
No, those times are behind me. I had when I was 14, 15, I couldn't lose at all. I tried to beat myself up. Now I just, as I said, now I can work with it. I know I just lost because I missed. That's okay. I'm a human too. We all are human, and it's okay. The only problem I have now is sometimes I wake up at night and I have to think about the 8 and 9, and it's tough to fall back asleep. Um, but
Oh,
no, I'm good. I lost too many times to still be upset about those losses. Of course, I'm upset. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that I get mad or aggressive.
yeah,
That's not anymore. But
yeah.
I'm
That's
still
that's pretty good
disappointed.
pretty good attitude to have, when you're 19, that you've already been through the cue throwing phase and the, pouting phase, and you're already into this acceptance and move on. And yeah, I'm sure the next match you beat someone good, you'll forget all about that 8 and 9. They'll never wake you up again. So it's that's great maturity. Where does that come from? Have you always been more level headed, or have you just grown up faster?
Uh, so I haven't been level-headed. I think
I
the
didn't
most
think
time,
so.
honestly, no, honestly. So there were times where I literally went outside and tried to beat myself up. I was trying to punch myself. Of course, it doesn't work. My body told myself no, but I think it's just a learning process, and
Yeah.
I always try to spend my time with older people, and so that's why I have many friends that are like 40, 50, even John now. Like I think he's 50, 51, and I love it. I just like to spend my time with older people because they know more about life, and maybe that helped me to grow up faster than maybe other people. And then I guess if you want to play good for a long time, you have to learn how to deal with losses. And even in the past 6 months, I learned a lot about myself and how to handle losses. Maybe 6 months ago, I would have smashed my cues and ran out crying. You never know, but now I was able to work on that, and yeah, I guess I just have a different mindset now.
That's great.
There's a lot of positivity to take out of those events as well, because now you're showing form, you're showing consistency. You're getting deep in events with the world's best players, and you're obviously showing, even though you kind of coughed up a couple leads in these last two events, that you're able to, get on these guys who are, top tier, a number one type players. But you also are seeing how much of a killers that they really are, because they'll come back and they'll finish you if you don't finish them. What are some things that you're taking away from watching these guys like the Carlos and the Lee Vans, and just how they're able to kind of dig deep even when they're in a hole?
It's inspiring, I'd say, because maybe like maybe 1 year ago, I was really like maybe giving up at some point. I was surrendering. Now I think that changed, but it's always good to see people really play their heart out and come back from 8-1, 10-4, race to 13. So that's definitely a good thing to see. But I definitely take home that I should have won, not because I just missed, but I think it's like in the beginning of all those sets, I played different pool than in the end of the sets, and I guess I just have to stay calm and stay just by myself, and that's I think why I lost all of those matches, because I usually you don't lose if you're up by like 7 games, 8 games. That's not the usual case, and even in the match with Carlo, you could see when it was like 9-4, 10-4, he wasn't really playing well, and he knew that he could only win from now just because I make mistakes. Because he missed, I think he even scratched once with ball in hand, or maybe that was the set before. I don't really remember, but he didn't
Yeah.
play his level, and I had to help him. And that's something positive I take away from it, because I know if I keep on playing the same way the whole set, I will win, and that's for sure.
You don't think shaving the mustache played a big factor in the loss?
It's so funny how many people texted me and were like, "Oh yeah, you look like a different guy," but no, 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 no. Well, maybe it did. We never know.
Well, it kind of reminded
Sports
me.
players are superstitious,
I had an old AccuStats video, and I forget. I think it was Mizrak played Ralph Souquet, and Ralph Souquet beat him and had a mustache, like way back, way back. And so when I saw your mustache, I thought of Ralph in that video, and I was like, "That's actually really cool for somebody 19 to wear that style." It was
But
kind of.
the funny thing is, I didn't even try to wear just a mustache. I think it was like I let it go for a couple days because I didn't want to shave it off again. And in that photo, it looks like I just have a mustache, and that's like it's funny.
He would let it all grow out. Just the mustache was the only thing that grew in.
It
That's
showed,
the problem.
It's interesting.
So you've signed with QTech, and you're using their equipment now. I don't think it's been too long, maybe within this year, that you signed with them. But looking at the way you were jumping the balls and making jump shots, we talked about it the other day, and drawing back 4 feet and doing crazy stuff. Talk about the equipment and how that's working out for you.
So I switched to QTech equipment. I think it was maybe in January, February. I think it was January, and yeah, since then, I mean, my results tell a good story. I've been playing way better with my equipment with the QTech stuff. I feel way more comfortable, and yeah, the jump cue is amazing, obviously. But what's fascinating is that even the break cue is a very good jump cue. I probably made like 5 or 6 jumps in the whole tournament just with the break cue, because it's just so good, and it gives you a confidence boost too if you know that you can jump balls that are just maybe there's a gap of 1 ball in between the balls, and you still jump the ball and you have a good chance of making it. You can draw the balls, you can do whatever, and that definitely helps, because honestly in that tournament I felt like even if it was a safety and I had to jump, I felt like I have an advantage, even though it wasn't the case most of the times, but sometimes it worked out pretty well, and that's just a good thing mentally to feel like you have an advantage even though you're just in a safety.
Yeah.
What are the details on the shaft that you're using? It's the
11.8.
11.8.
Synergy 11.8 default tip. Didn't change it. Just as it comes off the shelf.
Got it.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Penoso.
Oh no, that's I thought it was interesting when Joey mentioned Ralph, because I think of the German pool players, Oliver, and then Ralph, Torsten, now Josh and yourself. It's quite a factory there. And tell us a little bit about your growing up through that system. I know I saw some, I remember with you winning the junior world championships. I think the national coach is Gunther Geisen, right? And
yes.
Do you work with them a lot? Have you, what coaches have you worked with coming up, and how is it that these German players keep developing such strong, solid players?
So I would say probably 4 coaches in total. The first guy just taught me how to hold my cue and the basic stance when I was like 8 and 9, just starting out.
Yeah.
Then when I turned 12, I think, 11, 12 maybe, I switched to another guy. His name is youg, and he was my coach for a couple of years. And then at the same time, I started working with Günther Geisen, the guy you just mentioned, and Christian Reimering. So those are like the 2 national coaches of the youth team. I think Günther now is the coach of the whole German national team, and Christian is doing just the youth work. And I think one of the reasons why we have so many good youth players and young players is, first of all, the coaches are amazing. Christian and Günther are doing a great job. And second of all, now that we have a couple of good players, they have someone to look up to. And we have many good players in Germany that nobody knows. At least you don't know them. And we always have good competition. Even in the German tournaments, we have probably like 10 people that have a 650 Fargo. And it's like a normal just a weekly tournament. So just the competition is very good, and we don't have a handicap system. So the people in the US here, they always have a handicap system, and they don't have to become better to win. And that's maybe one difference to the European countries. We don't have a handicap system anywhere. That's why I was a little bit surprised when I came to the US that everybody wants a handicap. And I was like, let's just play. That's the way you get better. And they were like, no. We need a spot. We need a spot. So that's probably one of the reasons too, because we learn how to play better players, and we have to raise our level in order to compete.
Yeah, sink or swim.
Yeah, I think there's been this notion in the United States that the more amateurs that we get playing pool, the better for pool in general, right? The better for the companies, the better for the game. And so that handicap system has been important to generate interest among people who might not normally play pool. I met my wife because she played on my APA team, and she was a 2. She didn't play hardly any pool, but then she got interested in pool, and occasionally she'll kind of tune in and things like that. So, but I guess that is a big factor, right? Because here, there's not the incentive to strive to be the best, at least nowadays in this day and age. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Kind of. And the problem is some people see money as a motivation. And right now, it's way too easy to earn money here just playing not as good as you could play.
Right.
Let's put it like that. So many people play and they get a handicap and they win, and they still think they're good players, which they aren't as good as they think. And that's one problem that many players have too, is that they don't really see how good they are. And they just see, oh, those are the pros. I don't want to compare myself to the pros. But that's the mistake. You should tell yourself, where do I want to go, and how do the best players play, and what do they do? Because otherwise, you can't become a good player. You can't even become better at all if you don't tell yourself, I want to improve. And that's what the handicap system does. The people don't want to improve because they're like, oh yeah, I'm an IPA, 5. So I get a handicap from better players, and I'm 50-50 to win. And that's enough. And that's like, in Europe, if we had the handicap system, we'd have the same problem, because the people just want to win. They don't want to become better then.
Yeah, right.
And in Europe, in order to win, you have to become better. And that's the difference.
We have to clip that out, make a reel of it, and pin it to the top of our pages. Because that to me is it's so interesting. At 19 years old, you have an understanding of that. And so many people, I think, kind of struggle to see that, and why the United States might be falling behind, even though we have such a larger population and so many more potential pool athletes out there. We're struggling. But.
Yeah.
What you got, Mike?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. Now, enough with all this handicap talk. I want to talk about that 8-ball. That's what I want to talk about. Walk me through it, Moritz, because I'm watching the stream, and then I saw you get on the inside of it, and I thought to myself, it's a little funny. A little funny. He's gonna have to pinch it back and then come off the side rail and then come back to get shape, or oh no, actually the 8-ball, the 9-ball was gonna play in the side, wasn't it not? Yeah. So walk me through it, Moritz. Walk me through what happened there. Was it more nerves or just?
I think I just had a big brain fart. That's looking back at it, there are like a couple of things I should have or could have done differently. First of all, I could have just rolled in the 6. I just played a combo. It was like straight in. But then I was like, no. Like, no pro player would ever go for a combo if they don't have to. So I was like, no, let me play position.
That part's kind of true. Yeah.
That's true. So I was like, okay, I know what I have to do. Okay. So then I think to myself, just play center table, you'll be good. I'm like, okay. Then I thought, but you don't want to land short. If you land short, you might have to run into the 9, and then some funny things might happen. So I was like, if I had to choose, I'd rather play long than short. Okay.
You got what you wished.
I I got what I wished, and then I don't know, those kind of balls. I don't know why, but shooting to the right side, if you know what I
Right.
mean. So if I
Right.
have to hit the ball on the left side, I don't like it. I don't know why. It's like if I had to choose, I'd rather hit it on the right side than on the left side. And at this
Yeah.
time, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I just sometimes you just missed, and in that case, I just missed. I just
Yeah.
missed. There's not much more to it. There was some pressure, but honestly, I think the pressure was way higher in all the matches before. I was just trying to enjoy myself, and I just docked it. That's it.
Yeah.
Did you do you kind of have that mental, train going on when you're playing, let's say like a, race to 9 through 1 through 6? Are you still processing like that, or is it just like even more, full steam ahead because it's, this is your chance to win?
Mm, I thought. I think like the whole match. I think in the end I just lost because I had so many upsets in the earlier racks. Because I knew I had to get out like at least, let's say I made 7 mistakes and 5 of those were like extremely unnecessary and 2 of those were like still unnecessary.
Yeah.
So I think it was just I got exhausted in mind because the racks before I was like, yeah, that's my rack, and then I fuck it up
And
somehow. I don't know.
You put it
It
away.
was. And
Yeah.
Except for that one where you got on the 7 ball and then you shit in the 9 ball by coming with the inside, which by the way was a great
Shit
shot.
in. What
You know?
that was an
Yeah.
incredible shot. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Well, he got lucky coming up the 7 ball the way that he did. I mean, he hit it just absolutely perfect. That's a 1 in a million shot.
I mean,
Yeah,
but it
but
wasn't
to
a
be
luck.
fair-
Like you tried to play that exactly how it played out, correct?
Yeah, and to be fair, making that 6 ball and ending up at that point with the
That
2
was real
ball,
lucky. Yeah.
give me like 100 tries for money and I'll never do it. So,
That's a
but-
fair argument. That is an absolute fair
I
argument.
was talking about that shot, and I said, man, when I saw you lining that shot up, and I'm like, he's going to shoot this. He's going to thin that ball with left-hand spin and come down and make the 9. I'm like, I couldn't get my phone to work quick enough to screen record. I wanted to screen record that because imagine that, like that would have been great. I mean, obviously Upstate Al has it, but I would have had it.
yeah, but honestly, I think even in the rack, that's what I mean when I say I didn't play the way I'm supposed to play. Even trying to go for the 6 is the wrong shot. I knew it. I knew you can't go for the 6. I make it maybe like 1 out of 20. I make that 6 ball. And then going for the 9 again is like 1 out of 20. But
Yeah.
to be fair, with the 9 ball, I had no other choice. No matter what I do, he's just going to shit in the 9. There was nothing I could do to prevent that because I know he's like, especially with the Filipino players, they're so good at caroms, at kicks, at bangs. So I didn't want to leave him anything near the 9. So I was like, let me just hit it hard and hope. And it went in.
Shoot, and you have to
Yeah.
you have to put away, top level players. Like I said earlier, they're gonna put you away. Talk to me about that 9 ball though, Moritz, because that was another opportunity that kind of got away from me. I know it was long. I know it was like a bit of a roller, but what was going through upstairs?
I just tried to make it. And honestly, I didn't want to. I don't know if I just tried to. I tried to roll it in, and somehow to me, it looked like the contact on the 9. It was no skid, but I feel like I hit it so full that almost went like I hit it straight in the face. But I don't know. I felt like I made it, but I didn't.
Yeah. I thought you made it when it first came up.
Yeah, hit it really good.
Yeah,
hit it really good.
Honest to God, I thought he made it. No, listen, you're in the best spot as you can be. That's the positive take away from it. And these guys are absolute monsters. And by the way, you're 19 years old. You ain't supposed to be in those spots right now. So like there's a ton of I wouldn't even call it upside at this point, because now you're maybe just living up to what your potential has always been, and there's not a lot of guys with that kind of ceiling, and now you're showing consistency with that ceiling. It's pretty remarkable, man. There's a lot of like positive things to take away over the last few weeks, and like you said, better to do it now than to do it at the U.S. Open. So
I want to hit on something that you said, Moritz, when you were talking about the Filipinos and the way they kick and carom. And so there's a debate in pool. There's a lot of debates in pool, but one of those debates is, do you play the table or do you play the opponent? And so how much of that factors into your mind in terms of your shot selection or the way that you play, considering your opponents and their abilities and their skills? I'm just curious, do you factor that in at all?
I always say play the table, always, because I don't think you should take into consideration who your opponent is. Of course, there's some situations where you might choose one shot over the other, but I could only think of maybe Fedor, because you don't want to leave him a jump. And if you could choose to maybe go for a difficult shot, but if you make it, you run out, rather than leaving him an easy jump, maybe that's one of the few occasions I would say, okay, play the opponent. But the only thing that I could imagine that changes, if depending on your opponent, is what you expect coming back from coming back to the table. So when I was playing Carlo and I played a safety, I was like, I can't expect to get ball on hand. I can't even expect to have an open shot. I can't expect to see the ball. Okay, if he has to go 3 rails, he might have to be lucky to get me in a resave. So that's the only thing that changes from opponent to opponent. You have to, or you could adapt to what you expect that's going to happen. So let's say you're playing Joshua Filler and he's having a tough shot. You shouldn't expect to come back to the table anyways. So that's
Right.
true. That's the only thing that changes.
You would know.
Prepared. Yeah, I played a couple. He broken around like 13 on me twice, so yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
That's funny. That is so funny.
So
in the early stages of that match, there were it seemed like a real defensive struggle, and I was surprised at how you came out on top of that in so many scenarios where you're playing safes and he's playing safes back, and it just naturally, you would think that the more experienced older player, who's been playing for a long time, would come out on top. But it seemed like you came out on top, took control of the match, and got off to a big lead there. Were you surprised at that? And how much do you work on your defense and your kicking and, that type of play?
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky now, but I wasn't really surprised because that's what I did the past 6 months. And that's what I think that's my biggest improvement. I really worked on the safeties. I really worked on the defense game because I know that everybody can just run out. That's not what makes you a better player than others. But I knew I had to work on the safeties, and I did. And of course, I wasn't expecting to win every single safety duel in the first 14 racks, but I was expecting to at least keep up or maybe even, get him uncomfortable, because that's my goal. I want to make him miss shots that he usually wouldn't miss. And I feel like of course, on that day I played better than I think I do on regular basis. So my defense game isn't consistently on that level yet, but I still think I did improve on the defense.
You did. That was one thing that stood out to me watching that Lucas match and then watching that match with Carlos. It wasn't just like your safety play. Safety's going to get you to the shot, and then you got the ability to run out once you get to the shot. It was the jumping. It was the jump safes. It was the 2 row kick safes. It was, just really next level stuff that gets you from here to there, and that's what you got to do to separate yourself from those guys, and it absolutely shows. Because that was one thing that really stood out to me watching you play over this past weekend. I didn't get to see the Levan tournament, but this weekend, those are things that absolutely stuck out to me. That jump. I remember there was one like just jump stick where it just stayed. Just stopped the ball there and completely put him in jail. Just absolutely phenomenal. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah.
No, I just think it's impressive to me, his mental attitude and his philosophical looks at the game and the opponent and things like that. For such a young age to think like a really experienced player. Did you have mental training as well, when you work with the German team and things like that? Or is this, or is this type of, something that you've worked on just on your own?
I I never got any like mental coaching lessons, like official lessons, but there are a couple of things that I tried to work on myself. Then I always had like good players around me, so Joshua maybe, then Ralph, Thorsten. If I had a question, I could ask them. And then I think, especially when I was like 14, 15, the guy Jürgen Wolf, he was like really trying to get me to a certain attitude. He was trying to get me to a point where I was willing to learn about the mental side, because that was my biggest weakness when I was young. That's why I couldn't really play against other youth players. That's what it was, because I didn't like to play them. And that was one thing he worked on with me. He told me that I should start to work on the mental side. He told me how to do it and maybe what kind of things I can work on. And over the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, there's always a consistent improvement. You always have to work on that because it gets more and more difficult. The better you can play, the higher your expectations are, and then still keeping up to those expectations is tough, especially if you don't work on your mental side, because that's where all the magic happens, I would say.
Yeah.
What's your goal leading into Jason's event in the U.S. Open?
Honestly, I just want to play the right way. I don't care if I win or lose, really, because that's what I meant earlier when I said I should have continued to play the same way. Because the past 2 weeks, I had like many big leads because I was playing the right pool. And then I switched because I wasn't patient enough. But that's the lesson I learned. I mean, I don't really care about the five, or I don't know how much I missed out on now. I think it was like 4-8 or 5K. But it's like the lesson I learned is worth way more money than the 5 grand. I don't care about that. I just want to improve, and that's what I learned from the past 2 weeks. I just have to stay patient. I have to stay calm, stay with my game, and then, as I've shown, I can just run over my opponents.
So you also learned the fact that you can beat a number of strong opponents in a row, which is what it's going to take to win the U.S. Open. Can you win the U.S. Open?
Yes, I can, but we'll see if that happens. You always have to be lucky, and that's what I could really feel in the tournament this weekend and even past weekend. Some of the things that happened were like, I was surprised, because it's not even that I got lucky necessarily, but my opponents maybe had a bad roll or they missed shots where I was like, okay, I'll take it, but and that always has to happen in order to win. So I have no expectations. I just want to play the way I'm supposed to play, and the results are following. That's for sure.
So you played pool all weekend. I think you were out late last night playing pool. You're going to be playing pool this weekend. What do you do when you're not playing pool? What is
where was that?
do
What's
for-
that fun part that you were
Yeah,
talking
what is
about?
Moritz? Yeah, are you going to a Broadway show? What are you going to do for fun? What do you enjoy outside of pool?
So today, as soon as we are done, we're gonna go to Manhattan and
Nice.
just, I don't know, hang out, just get some sun in Central Park.
Slice of pizza?
Of course, we're gonna go to a nice, proper Italian pizza place that our Italian friend Frank Candela, he knows good pizza, so he's gonna bring us to a good place. And then I don't know. When I'm in the US, honestly, that's why I come here, just to play pool. So I don't expect to do anything fun here. To me, I have to do some work here,
It's a business
and then
trip.
the fun part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when I come home, I'll spend some time with my family. Don't play pool for a week, and I don't know. Then I love pool, so it's fun to me.
Yeah, of course. You're 19.
Are,
You can't
are
play
you getting
enough.
are you getting recognized more that you're going to pool rooms after seeing your recent success?
Yeah, I'd say especially after the World Cup, now people
Yeah.
come up to me and
Yeah.
ask me for a signature. But I mean, so far it's not it's not too much, and I like it. I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like any different person. I don't feel like I'm someone special, so I don't even know why people come up to me and ask me for a signature. But it's nice, you know. It's definitely it's cool to see that people like me, that I have some fans, and it just makes it more fun to play, I guess.
Well,
It's because you.
you'll get more fans in a hurry,
Yeah.
you know, because you're a good player and you're a nice person. You're respectful of the game, respectful of your opponents, which is all good things. And you can see the doors, you know, starting to open for you. You can see the world, you know, with the World Cup of Pool, and with more of these, you know, Matchroom invitational events. I think you can look forward to being in a lot more of these big events, and that's the gravy. That's what you work for, right?
Yeah, 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 of course. Maybe if I win the US Open, you can see me at the Mosconi Cup, but you know,
how, how
you
big a
never
dream
know.
is that for you, knowing how difficult it is to make Team Europe?
Uh, it's a huge dream. It's probably the biggest dream, and just playing with all the pros, it just it's fascinating to me that some players are at the Mosconi Cup every single year. Um, I have huge respect for them, and at some point, I want to play against Team USA and with the Europeans, and yeah, just I don't know, enjoy the atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, of
Just take it
course.
easy on us, okay? Take it easy on the United States.
All
I,
right,
gu-
all right.
I guarantee you got their respect now if you didn't before. 100% you got their respect now. You're not you're a name on the tournament bracket that people are looking at, you know, and people are following. You got three fans at least sitting right here, you
Oh,
know, who got a lot of
thank you,
respect for you
guys.
because of your game, and the way that you carry yourself too, Moritz. You know,
And
it's it.
over
Thank
a
you.
hundred over 100 watching right now live, and I'm sure this will get up to like over 1,000 views of people who I think are going to be really impressed by just the way you see the game. A lot more mature than your age in terms of how you view it, and so I know I wish you the best of luck. Uh, I love that you answered the U.S. Open question like, yes, I can win it. So get out there and do your best, man, and we'll be cheering for you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking to you. Hopefully, it's not the last time, and yeah, see you soon.
Oh no! Wait. When you see me at the U.S. Open and Mike, you'll be looking the other way, but we're gonna be coming with the microphone in front of you, buddy. You can
Yeah,
guarantee that.
now you're gonna be
So
getting chased down every place
yeah,
you go.
yeah, yeah.
All
All right,
right,
buddy.
all
We'll
right.
follow up with you, Moritz. Thanks for stopping by, my man.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Take
Take
care,
care,
Mike.
guys.
See you,
Thanks.
Bye
brother.
bye.
Well, boys, that was pretty good, huh?
Really
He
enjoyed that.
surprised me. It didn't surprise me at all. You know, in the couple times I've spoken to him, you know, you just know the maturity level is up there, and it's interesting what he's talking about with junior players. Yeah, I think that's prevalent with junior players everywhere. Is that they mature faster because they do. They're not playing high school football. They're not playing. They're playing a you know, an adult game right away, and so they're with adults time. And I think that they do grow up faster, get a more, you know, a tougher mental approach and a little rounder view of things by having those older influences on their life in this competitive arena, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
has to be.
do. Yeah, and I think one word kind of stands out with Moritz today, and that's class. You know, just a classy young man, great player. I think he's up to a 780 Fargo, maybe even higher right now. So he's knocking on the door in the upper echelons of this game at 19 years old.
Yeah.
I think in some ways he might be a little overlooked because of Joshua and the fact that they're both from Germany, and Joshua's like the pinnacle right now. He's the absolute top, but he's clipping at his heels. So I really meant what I said the other day when I said Germany could have the top two players in the world coming up in the next couple of years.
You know,
I
he's a
wonder
great
if
talent for sure.
I wonder if we can get with Mike Page and just see like kind of what his years look like, you know, in a vacuum. You know, we saw that with like,
Aggression, yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, like it's like Savannah Easton, for example. You know, she thinks she was like at around a 580, but if you had looked at her, I think previous 6 months, it was right around like a 630. You know, so,
Yeah.
but you know what? Like one thing for me with that kid is that, and especially with those missed opportunities. It just seemed like maybe it wasn't his time, but I didn't take it like it was dog. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't take
Yeah.
it like he dogged his brains out. It just,
No.
or like the pressure seemed like it just got to the better, because I've seen that with a lot of players. They wear it. It's physical. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
No, I
didn't
think he just
I
thinks
didn't get
that he
that
just
vibe with
missed
him
the
with that
shot
kid.
he should have made, and
Yeah.
that's why he referred to it as dogging it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it just happens. So I like his attitude about that. I think that he's looking at it the right way, and I think, you know, it's you know,
But I
says a
think it's
lot when you-
realistic though, Mike, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of players who will tell themselves that same thing, but I don't think it's necessarily true. You know, like I'm not buying it. They'll say all the right things, but I'm buying it.
At the
You know?
top level, at the top level of the game, the margin for error is so slim, and
Right.
for a player playing Carlo Beato, you know, a mistake here or there is amplified. You know, they say in pool, one mistake costs you 2 games usually, right? It costs you the game you
costs
made
him
the
three.
mistake in,
It costs
and
him
then the next game. But at that top level, it might cost you 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it might change the momentum of the match, which changes the way you're feeling, changes the way they're feeling. And so it can completely change everything. And he did. He acknowledged he made a couple mistakes there, and those mistakes were critical in Carlo getting back in the match and winning that match. But even still, winning at Hill.
Yeah.
And Moritz had already beat Carlo.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a great performance.
You start having wins like that, whether you're in on points or not, those are the kind of wins in tournaments and consistency that'll start get you on those World Pool Master type radars.
Yeah.
You know, those are the type of wins that'll really get you in a different kind of, you're in a different neighborhood now.
Yeah.
You know, so
You're in a different neighborhood, but you're also in a neighborhood now where he becomes a little bit of the hunted for, you know, all those players who are.
Say that again, Mike, because your audio kind of cut out. What was that?
I heard him.
He's, you know, he's becoming a little bit of the hunted. In a certain respect, where he's not sneaking up on anybody anymore. And these guys who are in the middle of the pack, you know, they're going to start looking at, you know, the upcoming matchup Moritz is something that they can build at, right? Because now he's a big enough name and a strong enough personality. So I'm you know, I wanted to ask him, I never got around to it, but you know, how he feels about now going into these events, being someone that people are looking at, being someone that the top players aren't going to let him sneak up on, and someone that the lower players are going to go after as a you know, a trophy to put on the wall. So you know, he's in that funny part of the.
There's certain things that'll hold true, Mike. Right? There's certain things. It's here, and then it's your defense. We know what that kid's offensive prowess is like, right? We know that he can run out with anyone, right? But that defense will sustain, and up here will weather you through that storm. You know. And not a lot of guys are built for it. I mean, I'm not trying to crown the kid, you know, prematurely here, but I like that kid's I like that kid's potential, and I'm excited to see what the future looks like, because I think he's got like A1 talent, and I would not be surprised to see him like in a semifinal, you know, within the next, you know, 6 months.
I think Mike's point though
of a major, of a major, whatever Mike considers a major.
This next year is pretty critical to him, because if you look back a year ago, there were those, you know, European professionals, and I'm sure when they saw his name on the bracket, were like, oh, okay, you know, good player, but I got this one, you know. And now they're going to be looking at it as like, oh, you know, this is going to be a tough match. If I beat him, that's going to be a feather in my cap. And so, you know, over this next year is a critical time that he needs to continue to push forward and keep growing. And at 19 years old, I mean,
keep growing.
I think he's going to do it. You have to think,
you know, when I was younger once during the interview, I'm like, don't tell somebody my age when I was younger. All right. I don't want to hear it. Not interested.
I can't. After our earlier conversation, Mike, in private, I can't call you a dinosaur anymore. Mike. So, Mike's forever known as the GOAT.
He said, you know, he likes hanging around with old people. So, you know, John Francisco's 50. I'm like, please hold my beer. But you know, the thing that you know, he's certainly not a flash, right? Because his progression has been so steady. It's like one check mark after the next. U17 world champion, boom. U19 world champion, boom. You know, 9th place last year, International Open, check it off. You know, now you get into this year and the finishes are higher. So it's just real steady progression, tournament after tournament after tournament, and that's what that's the type of thing I look at and think, no, this kid's here for he's up near the top for the long haul.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's sustainable, that's for sure. And you're absolutely right, Mike. We've seen guys that don't hit that kind of gear until they're late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And some guys who don't ever hit it, who we all think they're going to get there, this is going to be the one, and then it never comes. So to have this kind of season already, John, we see you in there, buddy. You're a little biased, but I like your pick either way.
Hey, Molina, by the way, I'm going to hit that gear when I'm 55. Okay?
What's that?
I'm holding on to hope I'm going to hit that gear when I'm 55. Okay? I got one more run left in me.
See, that's the difference between realistic and unrealistic, Mike. This is what we're talking about,
Oh, you're such
and
a
I hate
hater.
law. It like Mike said, it seems a little different, it's in a really positive way. So, and he seems like he's got a good enough head on his shoulders where he's very aware of, even if it were to shift the other way, that he's got to go and buckle down. Like, to hear he's been, in the lab for 6 months working on his defensive game,
Right,
the sky's the limit there. What?
I got one for you, Mike. Then, you're looking at the sky and the sky's limit coming up. I look back a year or so ago, we were having the same conversation about Victor, right? So
it's funny. I was thinking about Victor, during our conversation.
2 years from now, who's ahead?
Good question.
In what are we? What's the bar?
The hierarchy. The hierarchy. Who's?
I mean, if I can give a caveat, I might.
No caveat
against the kid.
Yeah, that's you want to? Is that another word for handicap?
Yeah. Well, look, even Victor said it himself, just as far as his mental game getting the better of him, and that's something that you got to tackle, and you got to tackle that shit now, because it is not going to get any easier. This sport is full of heartbreak, full of heartbreak, full of letdown, full of resiliency and great stories, whether you're on the receiving end of it or the Carlo took it, right? Carlo is a killer. Josh is a killer. These are the kind of guys where it doesn't matter where you at. And by the way, I used to say Josh was a bit of a front runner, but he shifted over the last few years where he's been able to play from behind or ahead, right? We've seen that transition. Victor has that kind of talent. Victor has that world championship pedigree. I fully believe that. But he's also his own worst enemy at times. And I think even he'll agree to that, and he's got to handle that shit, where it seems like Moritz just kind of processes things a lot better, where it's not going to go and weigh him down. And more importantly, like, I've never seen a match with this kid where I'm seeing the body language.
Right. That's exactly why I asked it, because I see this, we've both seen the same thing out of Victor, from the talent level and from the head hanging, slumping into chair thing. I don't see Moritz ever doing that. It's amazing to me that at 19, from 17 to 19, he's taken that mental approach to losing and missing that Albin just got over maybe 2 years ago, and he's 30. So
has he gotten over it?
Probably not, but better than he used to be. You just see that's why I asked the question, because I just think I look at Moritz at this point and I'm thinking, well, here's a guy who it's going to be really hard to slow that roll, because he seems to be the complete package right now in terms of his shooting ability, his understanding of the game, his philosophy of the game, and his mental approach, and his maturity. He seems to be a little more ahead of just about anybody that I see who's like under 23. Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Yeah. Well, Federer's 22, but listen, here's another guy who's also, notorious shrugger or body language. It's the guy who's going after number 6 in about a week's time.
But when you've got 5 under your belt, you can slouch as much as you want.
But I'm saying, like, the one thing that leaves me to be like, listen, I'm not arguing both those kids' talents, because they're both got amazing talent and the world of upside, both of them. And I don't want to say that about a lot of people, but it's Victor at least has the awareness to know that it's happening. you know?
Yeah.
So like
he's not in denial.
Exactly. That's a big deal, Mike. That's a very big deal because then at least then you know what you have to go and tackle and work on. Because I don't know how many pool players I've seen where like they're never in a bad game. You know, they always got the better end of the game. And I'm just like, you're about to get heisted, son. You don't know about that? You know what I'm saying?
Thanks again.
Yeah, you know, you know what I mean? So but not a lot of people have that. They don't.
Well, look,
They don't.
so Todd Nevins brings up a good point in the chat, talking about the energy wasted on the negativity, right? And I always use soccer analogies. And so one of my kids sees a private coach, and the guy's awesome, and he shoots the ball over the goal in a drill, and my kid goes like this, and he's like, "Don't spend any energy on that. Move on." Like when something bad happens, don't put any of your energy into that. And I think we see that in the body language of some of the players that do put a lot of energy into their mistakes, a lot of energy into that negative side. And then we see players like Moritz that appear to have a much more positive outlook, when things are going right and things are going wrong, which is the hard part.
So listen, I've seen Djokovic break a racket. I've seen the best players in sports let out aggression and emotion. It's a lot easier to say it from the rail than it is to do it in the moment. And here's the deal. All of these guys are like 1% of 1% competitive people. If you ask majority of these guys, they hate losing more than they love winning. I don't know how many players that I've asked that question to, and they don't even like hesitate. It's like snap call, So they just expect to win. They know what their ceiling is. They know opportunities, and those are the things that are like in the fabric of champions.
I know we're going to wrap up soon, but I want to go back to the thing he said about leagues and handicaps in the United States. And we had comments in there while he's saying it about, but not everybody's in it to be a pro. And we need that for, to fuel the companies that are selling to amateurs and things like that. And I agree with all that. But I think the difference is the top level players, the ones who do aspire for greatness, are caught up in all that. Right? They're still caught up in living in, Tennessee and playing in their local tournament and, having to give a handicap race or, you know what I mean? Having to make money to try to get to that tournament in Roanoke. And so I think he's got a really good point there that there needs to be a switch flipped at the point where you say, I want to be elite at this and I want to make it to the top. And your focus has to be not on making money and matching up and all these different things. Your focus has to be on being a professional. Easier said than done, right? You need the money for that. You need the support for that. But I think that's what's missing here in the United States. We don't really have that as much of an opportunity for that, for players to just flip that switch and say,
I'm going to say opportunity. There's tournaments going on every weekend across the country. There's plenty of opportunity.
No.
Just people are wired.
Opportunity in that, well, we saw it with Nick DeLeon, right? He took a year and he tried to go to every ranking event that he could, and he didn't quite make it to Moscone. He almost did, right? But the funds ran out. And so now he's not traveling to event. When I say opportunity, I don't mean that there's not tournaments. I mean that it costs money to get to them.
Yeah. And that's where I've been in arguments, infinitum with Europeans about the difference between European pool and American pool. European pool, we learn how to play the right way, and we get coached, and we go to these, Bundesliga tournaments, and we go play the European Championship, and we get a nice medal and a bouquet of flowers, and we go home knowing that we've become better players. And in the U.S., everybody plays for money. Well, that's a fine line there, because you look at what Federer did a year ago, right? And what Federer's doing now. It's not even remotely close with how much further ahead he was financially a year ago than he is now. So
what do you mean, Mike? What do you mean?
How much money did he make last year when he couldn't play in
good. Real good.
Really good money, and his expenses were like this. Tournament entries, travel, all that, right? This year now, it's that dilemma So I don't fault people in the U.S. for playing that side of the game, because Joey's talking about, you want to be professional, you got to be professional. I agree, but show me what being a professional means. Show me that it's going to make me $1 million or 100,000 or something like that. Then, yeah, I'll drop everything and do it. But I don't blame players who don't take that route, because it's a it's a sinkhole to a lot for a lot of players. I mean, they look at a lot of players on this money list, guys who go to every tournament, travel around the world, do all this stuff, that stuff, and I'm thinking, what are these guys taking home at the end of the day?
Well, I think you got to look long game.
You do have to look long game for sure, but
well, you better be looking long game, because if not, you're jumping off the bridge if you're playing the short
100%.
game.
If you're 35, 40, and you're established, you can kind of keep playing this out. If you're 18 or 19, you can fire at it. If you're 30, 35, you're starting to think about, okay, what's my pension plan look like at 50, at 55? So, it's a lot easier to just make that argument that you've got to want to be a pro and set everything aside, and that's what your drive has to be at. It's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
What's the over under on when that kid gets in the Mosconi Cup?
With Europe, man, you could say 10 years. You probably wouldn't be.
You could say never, or you could say in 2 years. I mean,
yeah, it's tough.
If you were in the United States, you'd be on this year.
Yeah, you would be. So it's so tough for the European team, because there's only 3 automatic spots, and you kind of go into it knowing that not many coaches are going to pick a rookie.
So you got to earn your stripes.
You got to earn. Yeah, I think your first shot's got to be earned, and that's you got to be one of the top 3 Europeans for a whole year. That's freaking tough to do, boy.
Well, and then the ones that are there every year,
you got to have consistency. Kids showing consistency.
They're not going to age out, for a long time. They're still
but at some point, Josh is going to be Jason. Josh is going to be what Darren was.
There's going to be some guys Josh is going to be out for sure.
Yeah.
But it's going to be not going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. But look, the cool part about things now is Moritz controls his own destiny. If he gets out there and he starts getting points, then he can be on the team, right? If 3 years ago we couldn't say that, Moritz could have won a whole bunch of tournaments and not been selected for the team because it was more popularity contest. So, I think he could be on there in 3 years.
Federer's been through heartache. Fillere's been through heartache. Kachi's been through years where he didn't get picked, right? The best players have all had those years. Kazakis, you name it. Mario, you name it, right? You can go down the list of players who were just wanting to hang it up after not getting picked where they felt they were shorted or deserved. Then there's guys who go out there and just earn their way on and say, whether you like it or not, I'm going to be here. Look at Federer. Federer saying, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. My game is here. My game can sustain, and it can. I don't know. I think he's still maybe a couple years away, but boy, I tell you what, if he wins that U.S. Open, or if he even gets to the final of the U.S. Open, he's knocking on that door, boys. He's saying, hello, I'm here,
That would be cool. That would be cool.
It would be. That. Yeah.
I mean, I guess storylines I'd like to see for the U.S. Open. I know we're going to do another show on this tonight, but storylines for the U.S. Open would be Shane winning. Right, that would be a great storyline.
Listen, save it for tonight, Joe. We got a lot going on.
A European winning and getting into that 5, right?
That's what we're all rooting for. You kidding me?
That would make for such an interesting December.
This is not a slam at Mark Biesterbash, but I would love to see him win the tournament.
Mark's in a decent. If Mark were to go make another final, he's knocking on that door too.
So it's let's get some really under the radar guy win the U.S. Open for Europe. If a U.S. guy doesn't win it, I'm all for it.
Mike, are you going to make the show tonight, Mike? I'm putting you on the spot.
Depends on whether I get my nap in at 7.
So that's a no. That's going to be a no. All right, we got the U.S. Open draw show coming on tonight. I think I'm trying to think. We got Eddie Cohen coming on in another day or so. We got Mob Jack Murray with Mob Productions going to be on. I'm trying to think. I'm sure we'll be doing more stuff, and then we fly out, I think, Saturday. So it's going to be a busy few days between now and then. I'm super excited for all of our shows. So stay tuned tonight. Keep your notifications on, you guys. We appreciate everyone who stopped by and hung out with us for the last hour. So you guys got anything else before I do the outro?
Oh, Pinozo, thank you for posting that picture of Molina Mike when I talked about the commentator.
Damn, y'all just
Because we had like 5 new Patreons sign up. So
I couldn't believe it. There was a lot of Patreons that signed up yesterday. Yeah.
If you guys want to get in,
they just want to see that face.
If you guys want to
show,
get in,
you got to show it to them, buddy.
If you want to get in,
Joe
on that
was being way out of line. I mean, way out of line. Way out of line.
Check
Alexa.
out
That was the most he's gotten out of line in his life.
Hey, patreon.com/dogging it. We got some cool exclusive content on there for you guys. A lot of videos. So check it out, guys. See ya.
Later, you guys.